Welcome everyone to episode 61 of the Phoenix Report. I'm Jack Connor, and with me is a guy who I've actually been meaning to have on this show for a while now. I want to say we met about a year and a half ago, maybe something around, something in that area. But I for a long time now I've been looking for ways to kind of to make a little extra money while playing music. It's not that I necessarily do this because I need to make a living. I already have a day job. But, as much as I love being in my original band, there's not really a lot of money in that. So, luckily for me, I love playing a lot of different, different types of music. I mean, preferably try to keep it within the rock stuff, but I'm willing to do pretty much whatever. But I was looking around for different like working bands, whether they were cover bands or something like that, just to kind of have a fun way of making some extra money playing music. Now I used to do like some solo acoustic cover gigs when I was living in Melbourne, but ever since I moved to Orlando, I've had a tough time getting booked with that, and maybe I just need to build up my portfolio a little bit. But in any event, I started looking around for tribute bands, like bands that would play the music of one particular artist, which I always thought was interesting. I had never done anything like that, but I'd seen bands like that over the years, and I always thought it was a really sort of a fascinating sort of subculture of live music. So I was always intrigued by it, but I look around I started looking around in Craigslist in both Orlando and in Tampa, where I'm from, Tampa, St. Pete. Not that I was necessarily looking to play with guys out there. It's just, I've got local ties to that area, and I was just trying to figure out who was available and what was going on in that market as well. So I see a post that says, basically from a singer saying that he was looking to start a Linkin Park tribute band. And I was immediately intrigued with that because, for one thing, there aren't a lot of Linkin Park tribute bands around. It's kind of a hard band to cover because, in Linkin Park there have always been 6 of them, and they always have a lot of different instrumentation, and they have a very unique sound. I mean, Linkin Park, you're talking about one of the most influential bands of the last 20 years, easily, and but certainly one of the most unique bands. So when I found this post saying that this guy's a singer, that he was looking to do the Chester Bennington parts, I was like, wow, okay, that's like really ambitious. So, I figured this guy's got to have some chops if he's gonna tackle Chester's vocals. So I'm like, that at least lets me think like, all right, well at least I don't have to worry about that. I could still play bass and something like that. So I kind of get the easier end of that deal. But I get to talking with him, and I really like this guy a lot. I found out that he had a good voice, he had a really unique background, and he was also his day job happened to be a teacher of Taekwondo. He's a black belt. He's a master in Taekwondo. So turns out we had a few mutual friends in that world as well. I haven't trained in years, but I got my black belt many years ago. And, that was a big part of my life for a long time. So it was really cool to kind of get to know this guy and to figure out that we had all this different stuff in common, and also find out that he's been making some headway in the world of original music as well. He sings for a band called VOXX, which he put together, and I'll let him go into the details of it. But he was in cover bands for years before that. He was in a band called No Politics. He had a short stint in Rising Up Angry. Now he is like the main man behind this band VOXX, which has really started to make some noise in the Tampa area in a relatively short order. Like, they haven't been on the scene for a long time, but they've already been getting some good gigs and a lot of good buzz about them. So yeah, it's a long-winded intro, I know, but I'm glad to finally introduce this guy and have him on my show. And please welcome Master Regis Lima.
Let's keep Regis. Regis is fine.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Thanks for having me, man. Yes, we've been planning to have this podcast for a while. I'm pretty excited. Very, very honored to be in your podcast. You are one of those, you a true jack of all trades. You do a lot. If you describe everything that you do, people
Pun
will
fully
be,
intended.
yes, blown away.
Well, thank you,
So,
man.
very, very excited with all those two projects. Yes, Vox, let me backtrack a little bit. No Politics, we played for about 6 years as a cover band, and I really wanted to do originals. I felt like maybe it's a martial arts kind of thing. You always want more, you want to achieve more. And I felt like doing the covers, I reached like a plateau, and I wanted a more challenge. So not having much of background in music, like didn't go to school for this and that, and everything came as, I learned as I went. Um, so I decided to tell the guys that I wanted to do originals, and, we decided to part ways. They kept No Politics. I did my own thing, wrote about 5 original songs. Went to Brett Haslow's studio, got them done. It's a long process. You know better than I do how long
Yeah.
it takes.
Was
So
there ever an option to keep No Politics going as just sort of a fun way to make money on the side while you were putting an original band together, or was that just too much at once to juggle?
yeah, I could, but the problem is, I thought that the writing the music part, you know how long it takes to write songs, and I felt like if I would start writing songs, I won't be able to dedicate the time that No Politics we needed, to play shows and this and that. I really wanted to focus on that. So probably, I don't know, maybe something that I should have thought about it, but I didn't. At that point, I was burned out with the covers.
Sure.
And I decided to go my way, and we remained friends. And long story short, songs were written, everything was ready, and I did what everybody has to do, look for bandmates.
Of
So
course.
that was, I had you helping me out, looking for people. After, I would say good 4 or 5 months, I bumped on the same guys from No Politics, two of them, the bass player, Carl, and the drummer, his brother, Steven. And we ended up talking, and the idea just popped up, and they wanted to listen to the songs. So they really dug the songs. They said, you know what, maybe let's try it out. Let's see how it goes.
Sure.
In the meantime, I tried some people, and I had one guy that I met years ago. We share stage with No Politics and another band that he was back then. I don't remember the name of the band. He's a lead guitarist. His name is Lance. Very well known in the area, Tampa Bay, Lakeland kind of thing. And we hit it off really well, and he wanted to play the guitar. So we brought him in, plus Carl and Steven. And then we brought up Mike Babb, which was another guitarist from No Politics. So we had the 5-piece together. The chemistry is really good. Of course, it's just like, riding a bicycle. We started playing, we just look at each other, we just smile and be like, we've been there before. The chemistry was there. The friendship remained good, so it was pretty easy. The Lance just gelled really well with us. He's a very laid back guy, very easy. That's why we had the name No Politics, because there's no, it's not even a democracy. It's just like, it's not like everybody does whatever they want. There's no animosity. There's no ego,
Right.
I'm the guy and you nothing. No, we're pretty equal. Yeah, every band, 5 different personalities. You're going to have a little sparkle here. It's part of it. It's a relationship. But we're doing pretty well for the short period of time that we're playing. We started playing together, I would say, before summer started. I would say around May, June. From that point on, we released one song. We're about to shoot a video this weekend to release another song, maybe in January. Ballerina, which you had a chance to listen to the song and play with me.
Yeah. We in the early days when you were first getting this together, we had jammed on it a little bit just because you were looking for guys and you just wanted to at least have a bass player there, in order to kind of like try out some new cats, and it was fine. I was happy to help you out, obviously whenever I was in town, and they were fun songs to play. So that was a lot of fun to do. It's crazy. I did mention your name in the previous episode of the podcast with Bryant August of Mature Musical Pictures. And it's kind of strange. You're about like the second guy I've had in the last two episodes who has started a band this way, in which you had written the songs first and had them recorded and then built a band around it, which I think is a really interesting process. It's very difficult to do. I kind of have my foot in both worlds with Vertebreaker right now, because it's like the band started like the traditional way where it's like we all kind of got together and a few guys came in and out, but it was sort of the same guys for a long time, and now I find myself rebuilding the band with new guys but using old material as sort of the foundation. I guess how did that come together as far as writing these new songs? I know you had someone that you collaborated with. Who was that, and how did that all happen?
That's his name is Larry Lafoce, he's my vocal coach still, teaching me voice lessons. He used to be a staff songwriter for Mercury Records back in the day. So he did that for a living for a long time. He retired and now he teaches music on the side. We start writing together. He played the guitar and lyrics. We just bounced ideas. He just grew and came to a point where I said, you know what? How about we collaborate and start writing together? And he taught me a lot. I learned so much within a year, and still learning, of course. And then I took the songs to Brett, and he just made, even bigger. And he replicate what I had in my mind. I was able to pass what I had in my brain, what I wanted those songs to be like. Of course, the core, the pre-production part was pretty well done. He just added a little creative side that he has, the magic that he has. We call him a wizard,
Absolutely. And for those people who are listening who don't know, he's talking about the producer, Brett Hessla, who's also a very accomplished musician, former touring bass player for Creed during really the height of their success after Brian Marshall left, but still during like the Human Clay and Weathered tours of that band, which they were arguably one of the biggest bands in the world at that point. He also sang for a band called Dark New Day, Virgos Merlot before that, and later went on to front Dark New Day. He's a multi-instrumentalist, vocalist, and for the last several years he's been kind of focusing on just producing other artists and occasionally recording some stuff on his own, but not really playing live. He's just a fantastic producer. I've worked with him, and so that was another sort of a thing we had in common. Now I'm assuming did Brett play all the instruments on the record?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Believe it or not. Besides,
I believe it.
Besides Close My Eyes, which I had a good friend of mine that co-wrote as well. Close My Eyes and Two Sides, he played the guitar parts.
Okay.
His name is Billy Varga. He plays in an original band called Motor Junkie.
Okay.
If I'm not wrong, they're from North Carolina now.
Oh.
And he wrote the guitar parts and sent it to Brett, and we put the puzzle together and made it happen.
So that's cool. But at the end of the day, you were the one who kind of had the vision as far as what you wanted to do with it, and you kind of made all the right moves, put up the money to get that studio time, which is not cheap, but as you know, but that shows a lot of conviction on your part, and like really, even before you had a band name or a band, like you knew you wanted to do something original, and that's not a lot of guys take that. Are always comfortable taking that chance. Look, let's be honest. Playing in cover bands, it pays more.
Yes.
That's just the way it is. So a lot of guys are sort of hesitant to kind of step out of that comfort zone. And look, there's nothing wrong with playing covers.
Right.
But I mean, to do something sort of artistically fulfilling, that's like, and to actually put it on record, that's something that you're always going to be able to have. You'll be
Right.
able to show your kids and grandkids that, hey,
Right.
this is something that I did, and you'll have that forever and ever.
Right. That's that. You can't erase that anymore. It's there, and then nobody will ever erase it. It's yours.
For
It's,
sure.
you can show it forever to anybody that ever asks, do you have a song written? There it is. I think, in my opinion, and I appreciate the compliment. It means a
Absolutely.
lot. Um, I learned that if I start something, I don't want to ever do half-ass. So I either go all in or I don't go at all.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, and I spent a lot of time in this little room that I have here in my house, planning how we'll do it. A lot of searching, researching, a lot of reading. Uh, I did everything from the beginning pretty much on my own. I did have help from the side here and there, but you have to be the front man literally, and push the train, and I did. But now I kind of, since I have the guys now with me and they're on board 100%, they want to help a lot. So I will be able to share some of the responsibilities with them.
For
It
sure.
makes it a little easier.
How difficult was it finding a sort of a permanent set of guys, which you have now?
I think for me, in my opinion, what I looked for mainly was the very first thing, since I treat the band as a business and having the business previously helped me, I was looking more for a fit, like personality first. I wasn't looking for that rock star look, but I wasn't looking for, I wasn't looking for ego or anything like that. If there was a chemistry and that person had the effort, has a little bit of talent, the rest is easy. If they're willing to put the work into it. I found, you find a lot of people with, that rock star attitude, and they want to start already making money, you know what I mean? Or they were successful one day. I had so many phone calls that I was like, should I be even be doing this? It was pretty frustrating. Um, yeah, it was pretty hard at the beginning. It was worse than hiring people to work for me in my own business.
I believe it. I
Yeah.
believe it. And I mean, I didn't even know that you had a set of brothers in the band. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they're tied as, and they get along well too. They get along well. That helps a lot. So they're both musically trained, you know what I mean? So they know deep down. So Carl, pretty much, he's like, I call him the maestro.
Hmm.
It's like you were with when you were helping me out, kind of the glue, kind of guiding. And I told him, and I said, I need you in this mainly because you know how to guide, that part. I want to do we kind of split the responsibilities now. I can't
Right.
be the director when I don't have that background musically.
Well, yeah.
You know what I
I mean, you're focusing on the vocal end of it,
Yeah.
and I mean, do you play any guitar or any
No,
instruments or anything like that?
I've
Okay.
been scratching and playing here, but
Gotcha. Well, I mean, so then yeah, you need someone to kind of keep the music solid a little bit, and
yeah.
then to just kind of handle that end.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so no, that's a very important role, and you need someone. You need to be able to divide and delegate and
Right.
things of that nature. Was part of the because I know part of the selling point with me when I was looking for new guys for Vertebraker was like, it's like, yeah, I mean, we have these old songs. I want you guys to be able to learn this, but I also want to be able to write new stuff with you guys.
Yes.
Have you started that process with these new guys
Yes.
already, as in terms
Yes,
of
we
writing new
did.
material?
We did. We did already, and we talked about that before we even started.
Hmm.
We wanted to get our first, of course, get those songs that we have in hands ready, done, polished, that we can play out. And now, it's second nature for everybody. Everybody's so used to play them. And now we start working on, our own thing, which would be awesome. I want that. I want them to have their hands on, you know what I mean? So from now on, it would be easier. But yes, we had already started. Definitely.
I think that's always an exciting process when you work with different guys to collaborate because especially if you have like a history or you have previous songs, be like, okay, this is sort of the foundation of what I want to do, but it doesn't necessarily have to be just that. It could go directions that you might not anticipate, and
Right.
and that can be exciting as well.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with you. Everybody has a different creative side, and you learn so much from everybody. Everybody can come up with their own ideas. And I told them, and I said, I want everybody to be part of this from now on. Put your 2 cents in. It's a band. It's not Regis's band. It's us.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that.
For sure. It's that feeling of wanting to provide not necessarily control, but at least leadership in
Right.
terms of like, having the vision and just having guys that are on the same page. That's very important. Based on what I'm hearing, what you're telling me about these guys, I haven't gotten the chance to meet them, but they all sound like guys who have kind of been around the block a little bit, who have experience and are kind of in a similar place where they kind of know what the band is and what to expect. But you guys are all kind of in similar places in your lives. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, yes. Everybody have their own day jobs. Everybody's stable. One of the hard things that when you audition people, you ask, do you have a transportation to make it to practice? Which is, you see it. You see guys that they're on their 40s, late 30s, and they don't have a transportation.
It's funny. I swear to God, I posted an ad on Facebook, a couple weeks ago when we were still kind of looking for lead guitar players. I mentioned is like, must have a day job and reliable transportation. And I get this comment from this one person was like, are you serious? Like you actually have, it's like that's your criteria to join your band?
Yeah,
And I'm like, well, that's not the only criteria, but I mean,
it's part of it.
I'm like, you would be surprised how many people do not.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know?
Unfortunately,
And
yeah.
it's like, I wouldn't have to say that if that wasn't something that I needed to put out there up front.
Right.
But yeah, it is. Like you could be the best player in the world, but it's like, if I don't know if you're going to be able to show up, or if you don't have any money or whatever it is, then it's like,
Right.
then that could be an issue. So like that's sort of the thing, like you need to communicate up front, and it sounds like that's what you did, obviously.
Yeah, well, all have our jobs, and the guys are very responsible. We always show up on time, and again, it goes back to the business part. You just need to be responsible. The band depends on everybody. One person doesn't show up, that's it. The whole show is done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's maybe see if we can backtrack a little bit. I know, I know you're from Brazil originally. What part of Brazil are you from?
São Paulo.
Sao Paulo. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And how long have you been here in Florida, or did you live anywhere else in the States before that?
No, Florida. I lived in Tampa for about 5, 6 years, and then I moved here a little north of Tampa, which is Pasco County. Been in the U.S. for 20 years, since 1999. It goes fast, man.
For sure. What brought you over originally?
I wanted to teach martial arts here. I came in '97. I competed in a couple tournaments. Fell in love with this country. Went back. I had a job, apartment, my car. I was going to college back then.
Yeah.
And I waited 2 years, got rid of everything, finished my AA, and peace out.
That was it. I see.
$500 in my pocket.
I didn't know if you had any family in the area, or if it was anything like that, or just upped and moved.
Well, I had 2 friends here. They were here already, from my city, and they were teaching martial arts, and they were learning, how things work here. And when I came, I stayed in one of those guys' house for quite a few months, and then just started doing my own thing, And then a couple years after, I started teaching martial arts and opened my own school 3 years after that, and have the school for 15 years now.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, Taekwondo was a big part of my life ever since I was 6 years old. Just kind of on and off through the years. I didn't get my black belt until I was 21, but I had also moved around a lot, and done a few different schools. But it's, it was always something I enjoyed. I was never much of a sports guy growing up, but that was something that like I could apply myself athletically, and and I think that level of discipline carries over into a lot of different areas of your life, whether it's music or your job or anything. That kind of structure, especially at a young age, kind of instills that.
Right.
Now, was the martial arts something you studied from like a young age, or was that just something you've always done?
Well, I was 16 years old.
Okay.
Nowadays, kids start at 3, 4 years old. They start pretty early, pretty young. Of course, my parents couldn't afford all that kind of stuff. I started working and I made my own money. I was like, you know what? I was playing soccer. Soccer wasn't taking me anywhere. And I was like, let me try something else.
Sure.
And I started at 16, December 3rd, 1989. I'll never forget. And it's been 30 years. Next month will be 30 years.
Yeah.
Definitely. The discipline, I didn't have confidence when I started at all. And now, it's funny, this past weekend we had a show and my sister was watching and she's like, do you remember when you couldn't talk to many people, and look at you now, you playing a show with, what do we have here, 100 people, and you talking to everybody like you're in your living room, like you're talking to everybody. It just builds up. It comes, with you.
Absolutely. It's definitely something I miss, something I haven't done for a long time, ever since I moved out here. And I guess part of it's loyalty a little bit. Since 2001, I studied with Master Johnny Clark in St. Pete, and that's how I know Tony Perry, who's I know sort of a colleague of yours. He's a great friend of mine as well, and a great teacher. And so I think that was part of it as well. But now it's just finding the time to do all this stuff. Really,
yeah, man.
It's just my main issue. But that's something I miss, and hopefully, as long as I'm physically able to do it, it's something that I can always come back to.
Right. You're never too old for. You've done it before, so it's pretty easy to come back.
Sure, as long as I can walk and move, I can I can do stuff like that.
You'll be fine,
Lord willing. But yeah, so, finally, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here is because now I feel like we've been developing this Linkin Park project for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We decided early on to call it New Divide. We were just looking for different Linkin Park song names and album names, just what we wanted to call this thing. New Divide just kind of sounded good. Really great song they did off the Transformers 2 soundtrack.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely been a process, sort of, getting all these guys together.
Mm-hmm.
I know once it kind of started off with you and me talking, and then it just sort of grew to me finding more guys in the Tampa area. I was kind of looking all around Florida, really, because I know you were willing to come over here to Orlando. But I ended up finding my buddy Wayne on guitar, who's been just a great friend of mine for, man, almost 15 years now. Like, he's family to me. Wayne's a great guy, great guitar player. And, I know he had been kind of out of the music scene for a little bit because of stuff that happened with his previous band. And, we just decided, like, man, this is too much fun to not do. and just, because we're all Linkin Park fans. We all grew up listening to that stuff. It's great music.
Yeah.
And then from there, we just kind of found, Ryan on drums, and he found, Sess, the MC who's coming in and doing the Mike Shinoda parts, and of course my buddy Christian, or Chris as he sometimes goes by. It's weird. I've called him Christian for years, and then on Facebook he lists his name as Chris. So everyone's calling him as Chris. I'm like, dude, what do you prefer? Like,
Right.
But yeah, no, Christian's a great guy. He's a phenomenal musician.
Talented, man. So talented.
He's a genius. So, having him on like the keys and sound effects, and not really like DJing per se, but he also, is an amazing guitar and bass player. So he also has that skill set to use, and he can sing as well, so you got multiple
Mm-hmm.
voices. This was something that I know you and I kind of went back and forth on, and you know, you and I we've been through a lot in the last year or so. I mean, just outside of it. I mean, I just had a child, and I know a lot of stuff was going on with your personal life. I mean, especially with your mother, God rest her soul. I know you
Mm-hmm.
lost her
Thank
earlier
you.
this year, and I know that must have been a tough thing. And I know at one point you had kind of backed out of the project because you weren't really feeling all that confident about your voice. But I'm glad that you changed your mind and that we're doing this
Mm-hmm.
again. And it just kind of it was the most recent time that we all got together. We all kind of got in and just sort of nailed the like we had sort of decided, okay, let's do 5 songs. Let's get in a room and see what happens. And after several months of not getting together, the 6 of us, got in a room and just started jamming out, and it sounded great. And we just decided, like, you know what? We've been working on this thing for a while. I think we're finally in a place where we can at least tell people what we're doing. Like, we're not necessarily show ready right now, or at least as we record this, but we just put out a Facebook page for it just to kind of gauge people's interests. And I think we're in a place where it's like, okay, if we know that we get booked for an hour set or a 2-hour set, then we know that we're capable of preparing and learning whatever songs we need to. And so now with this and with VOXX going as strong as it is, I felt like this was the perfect time to finally have you on.
Right. Right.
Because I remember
Yeah.
you were like, dude, you got a podcast. When are you going to have me on? And I was like, bro, I want to, but like, it's all about timing,
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, that's kind of the short story of New Divide, a tribute to Linkin Park, which is we do have a Facebook page up. We don't have any as we record this, we don't have any videos or recording available yet.
It's coming.
We're probably going to get a photo shoot and sort of a demo reel together so we can shop around for promoters and just to see if anyone bites on this thing. And I mean, the potential for one of these bands, I think, is pretty high. Like, I've seen tribute bands that are able to like tour nationally or even internationally if the demand is there and play like some big venues. And you never know what could happen with something like this as far as getting some good gigs and having some fun playing some great music.
Right. I totally agree. I'm really having a good time, especially the last time we got together. I think it was awesome. It felt like we were practicing already for a couple months. It just felt right. You know what I mean? I think everybody was feeling good. And we don't need to be practicing every week. They'll be good. They'll be the ideal.
Right.
But I think, eventually things will get, you live far away, and then I'm blown away how far you drive to do this. You know what I mean?
Well, the secret behind that is that I do have local ties in St. Pete. My mom and dad still live there. So like, if it's on like a Saturday, like if we plan it far enough in advance, I can at least let my wife know that like, hey, I think I might go home for the weekend, and I might plan like other stuff around it so I can like crash with my mom and dad's, and we can figure something out.
Right.
So I've been able to get through it that way, and thankfully I mean, Linkin Park, like, not that their bass parts are easy, but like they're not overly difficult. So it's
right.
So I kind of have sort of the easier job of everybody, I think.
Well, I just feel like, since we talked the first time, I got off the phone. I remember walking into the house and I told my wife, I said, I think I found the first guy. We have some friends in common, and, we got along over the phone. It didn't sound like you were some sort of, badass musician, over the phone, like, oh, I'm God and you're nothing. And we got together. I was like, holy cow, man, this is going to be good.
It was only after once you got to know me for a little bit that you found out.
And then that was it. Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, this guy is kind of a prick. Let's be honest.
No, you're fine. So I'm a huge fan of Chester, man. I remember being here for a couple of years, actually a year since then I started listening to Linkin Park. And I remember, that's when I really started digging, like, should I start learning how to sing? Because I wanted to have that screaming part and that energy that he had, I should say. And since then, man, and I keep kind of following his steps, and I don't know, not because the guy passed away. I was a big fan and still until this day. Love seeing the way he performed, on stage. You can tell that he was real. The band itself, always their lyrics had some really good message, and I was like, why not? Maybe I'll find a bunch of crazy people like me that want to join me on this. And,
well, I mean, yeah, your voice absolutely fits that material very much so, and I can tell it comes from a place of really being inspired by what he did and what he was all about, and you don't necessarily try to impersonate or imitate what Chester did. You're your own guy, but you definitely bring that vibe to it, and I think that makes it a really unique thing. Like for this band, like I know we're not planning on going on stage and trying to like dress like the guys from Linkin Park or.
I have to dye my skin.
Right. I mean, I wasn't gonna say it, but there's that.
It's real. My wife made fun of me. It's like, he was a little bit lighter than you. I said, do you want to tell me that I'm brown and he's white? That's what you wanted to tell? Just say it.
I mean, that is true, but that's, not. And even Christian was making jokes. He's like, yeah, bro, I can't go up there looking like I'm Asian. It's just not going to work. But it just wouldn't be right. But I mean, and there are some tribute bands who kind of like really replicate the look and the sound of that. I would guess, we're a tribute band, but we're not necessarily like impersonators of Linkin Park. We're just a bunch of guys who want to get up and play those songs, and hopefully, I think people will still respond to that. I mean, there might be, I mean, who knows? Maybe there one day might be other tribute bands who kind of replicate the look and sound of Linkin Park better than or at least more accurately than what we do. But I think. We're just guys who've been playing for years in other bands that, just love those songs and want to get up and play those songs. And I think, for a lot of people, I would hope that that's going to be enough. But I mean, I'm confident that it will be.
Oh yeah,
because we do a good job
too. Yeah, it will be fun. The guys have fun playing. You can tell. You look at their faces, and Seth that just joined us, and him and I when we got together. We rehearsed just the vocals, and it was about 2 songs in. We look at each other, we just fist bump and be like, "Yep, that's it."
And that's the key too, finding because they've been a true 2 frontman band, is finding that other guy to be the Mike Shinoda to your Chester, and to find which Ryan, our drummer, really helped out on that, because he knows a ton of like local rappers. I don't really know any rappers, so try and get people to come in and do that part was really cool.
Yeah. Seth knows his stuff, man. He knows well.
Yeah, he's in a group called Feature Inc. Who I've actually played shows with. I actually played a show with Feature Inc. years ago with a band I was in at the time, but I don't think Seth was part of the group when that happened. But yeah, I mean it's just wild. I know even speaking of the hip hop thing, and that was one of the things that really always struck me about Linkin Park. When I was in high school, I heard Hybrid Theory for the first time, and before that, like I was kind of down on hip hop and rap. Like I really didn't want anything to do with it. I was very much like, no, I'm a rock guy. What is all this nonsense? And that was like the time of like Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit and
yeah.
And that like really started to bother me for a long time. And it wasn't until hearing Linkin Park where I was like, I was like, wow, like that kind of changed my whole attitude about it.
Right.
And like there aren't that many bands that can get guys to change their perception on an entire genre of music, and then go back and look at these things in a different way than you had before. I mean, if nothing else, I mean that's one of my one of the things about Linkin Park that I'll always cherish the most. And I've legitimately been a fan of everything they've done over the years. I mean, they've taken a lot of twists and turns over the years throughout their career and done so much stuff musically, and it's just and I got the chance to see them live early on in their career, and then a little bit towards like the Meteor era, and unfortunately I didn't really get to see them live too much after that, but I loved all the stuff they did, and that's just one of the things that just makes me upset about, like almost angry. It's like, man, Chester should still be here, man. Like,
right.
It's not.
Why not? Right.
It's not right that he's gone, and it's just it's just a shame, and I just feel terrible for his family. But back to what you were saying, you said that that Chester in particular was a really big influence on you to actually make music.
Yes. I liked his style. Not just the vocals, but the way he projects himself and he present himself on stage. You could tell that he wasn't trying to. You can tell when somebody's on stage, they're trying too hard to be the front man. You know what I mean? He was just himself. He never overly dressed. You know, he's just being. You could tell he's just himself. And that I'm that way. I'm not. You know, I don't like to dress anything that'll bring a lot of attention. Mm-hmm. I don't like that. You know, I like to be myself. You like it or like it. Well, you don't like it. Well, too bad. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go out of my way to, you know, impress people.
Yeah.
I kind of, you know, related myself very well with that. What I like about Linkin Park the most is if they will come out today, I think this way, I was listening to them last week. If they'll come out last month with that kind of music, it will still be considered, you know, quote unquote, new. There will be enough, people will be able to listen, not feel like, this is outdated. You know what I mean? People will be able to listen and don't feel like, oh, this is old music. This is 20 years old. Because there's some music that it's from 2000 that you cannot listen to it. In these days now, you'll be like, this is too old for me. So I like them, you know, I like them because of that. They still do.
Absolutely. I mean, they weren't the first band. They were not the first band to blend rock and hip hop, but they did it in a way that was very unique, mm-hmm. and used a lot of different ingredients besides that, with the sort of the electronic effects. Before, mm-hmm. like really EDM was like a thing. It was just, we called it techno back in the day, but But like there was a lot of different sounds they experimented with over the years, and yeah, I mean, I do hope. I think it's going to be tough. I think a lot of people wouldn't accept it if they did move on with a new singer to replace Chester. I think it would be. I mean, look, those are huge shoes to fill, and I don't know if anyone could do it. But at the same time, you know, there were 5 other guys in that band, and they're all relatively young dudes, and I don't know. I mean, I personally think I hope that the band does continue in some form or fashion. I don't know if they will. I don't know when or with who. But, you know, I still feel like there's some life left in that band. And they wouldn't be the first band to move on from a tragedy like that. And it's, you know, easier said than done, but, you know, it can be done. I think.
I believe so. I think they will. I'm sure they still, you know, have some talk behind the curtains. I saw probably a few months ago they all having dinner together. I'm sure the subject probably popped up, and you know, there's labels probably kind of giving that little gentle push behind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, I'm sure they're still grieving. You know?
Oh yeah, big time. They're like brothers. You know what I mean?
Of course.
I think, yes, whoever steps up to try to fill his shoes, at least, you know, get to a close level to his performance and singing, there'll be a lot of responsibility. And who knows, maybe they ask me to do some help.
Right? I mean, hey, if this tribute band takes off, you know, it could be like a Tim Ripper Owens situation.
Yeah, like Linkin Park with a Brazilian Chester.
Right? Hey, look at Journey, man. They Journey got a guy from the Philippines. He's got an
Right,
accent. He's got an accent and everything, but it still
right.
works.
Well, dude, he can sing his ass off.
Arnell, man, he's
Damn.
badass.
So I'm not that level yet, but who knows? You know. In the meantime, we just keep on singing.
Of course, man. That's all you can do.
Right, right. So yeah, I'm really having a good time with you guys. I like the group of guys that we have. You know, thank Ryan, our drummer, to provide space for us and plug and play. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
he owns a recording and rehearsal studio in Largo, and that's been amazing. Just a great resource for us to use, and he's just been great about that.
right. I think as soon as we have everything else done, start promoting and this and that, I'm sure there'll be a lot of places that would love to have a Linkin Park tribute for sure. I'm pretty sure that'll happen eventually. And who knows, maybe we have, VOXX and No Divide and then Vertebrated and then, we just keep adding all together in the same bill.
That would be a very busy night for you to sing a bunch of Linkin Park tunes, then sing a set with your band. Oh my God.
you play your band in between so it can take a little break.
Yeah, maybe that's how we have to do it.
So we'll be busy, but it'll be fun. That's for sure.
People would probably get bored of you and me by that point. But like, all right, haven't we seen these guys enough?
Right. Do we have another band? Different faces.
Is there anyone else on stage that has their own stuff? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, man. But I'm excited, man. I'm glad that we're getting to work together. I'm glad that VOXX is taking off. I hope you guys continue to play shows and record and just get everything that you have coming to you, because you're a hardworking guy, you're talented, and I think I like to see good things happen to good people. So
thank you, man. Likewise to you, bro. Likewise, because we know each other for what, a year and a half. It's gonna be almost 2 years. Right. I think there's a lot of good stuff happening that's coming up here. I'm pretty excited. You know what I mean? For you, for myself, and for No Divide, for VOXX, and for your band, it's gonna be, I don't know, it's just a good feeling I have.
Right, and also thanks for throwing me that thing with Bryant August for the Mature Musical Pictures thing, which is still a relatively new gig, and that I'm still kind of processing it. Like, that's still like so early into that, but it just seems like such a cool opportunity, and hopefully I'm able to make that work as well. So I have a good feeling about it. But
Brian's a good people, man. He travels all over Florida supporting a lot of bands. I wish a lot of musicians, especially in the Tampa Bay area, were like that, supporting each other and as much as you can, because everybody's busy, attending each other's show whenever it's possible. And him and I would talk almost every day,
that's how. And I think he met you through just going to see VOXX play.
No, he recorded with Brad. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, no, I had this conversation with him like just a few days ago, and it slipped my mind, my mistake. But yeah, just through recording with Brett and
just through Brett, and we start talking, and and the guy is super cool. And when he started looking for bandmates, and he's like, "Man, I'm looking for a bass player. Do you know it?" I said, "Stop right there. Stop looking. Hang on a second." I said, "This is his name. This is his number. This is the guy. Don't look anywhere else."
Oh, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
And I'm not trying to kiss your ass. I said, "This is the guy for you. Your guys' personality, will just match." I knew it from the get-go. I was like, all right, there it is.
Yeah, I like the guy already. It's kind of crazy saying that I'm a part of the band when I haven't actually met these guys face to face as we're recording this. By the time I post this, I probably will. But
right.
But yeah, but that also kind of makes it exciting, and just to see what's going to happen.
So, yeah, his music is good, man. You heard, it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, no, it's rock solid. So I'm looking forward to it, and yeah.
Maybe another band that we have on our show. We have 4 or 5 bands to play out together. You be the busy one.
Right?
Play three bands.
We better be making some extra pay for that deal.
I cannot guarantee anything, but I'll do my best.
Just call it the Jack and Regis show. How about that?
That's right. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Where can people find VOXX online, and what are some dates you've got coming up?
This month we have a show. Not this month. I'm sorry. This coming up month, December 7th. We're gonna play at the Verona in Port Richey. We have 4 other bands. We have Defy the Tyrant, which they're from Tallahassee. We have.
Are they from Tallahassee or are they from Jacksonville? I forget.
No, you got me confused.
Yeah.
Either or.
They're
they're from Tallahassee.
They're from somewhere in North Florida. I know that.
Let me rephrase that. Defy the Tyrant from North Florida.
Yes. Yeah, that's a safe bet.
We have Red Calling from Tampa. Mm-hmm. We have Give to the People, which they're from Tampa area as well. We have Level the Planet. They're from Tampa area. Okay. And we have Kiss of Betrayal, which they're near me here. They're a little heavier. Matter of fact, the guitarist and the drummer is the father of the guitarist. And the guitarist, Jacob, his name, he's probably on his 17. He's my student.
Oh, so at your school, so that's pretty wild.
Yeah. And their sound it's killer too, man. A little bit heavier on the edgy side and pretty cool.
It's not often that you see a father and son in the same band. That's pretty wild.
It's pretty cool to watch.
Yeah.
The way they talk to each other on stage.
I've actually run into a band that had that similar thing before, called Staring Blind, a couple years ago. Really good dudes.
Yeah, they get along very well. They're very laid back. The next date we have will be in December 20th at the Brass Mug. Mm-hmm. They have some other bands there. They haven't announced the rest of the bands. I think there's 2 more. Then we have a show in January, the end of January, another one in February, which I cannot announce yet. The bands that, I'm waiting.
Things are still in the works. No, I know how that goes. So,
but I'll probably be putting maybe in the next couple weeks on our Facebook page, and everybody can follow us.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, and where can they find you guys on social media? What's?
Yes, we are on Facebook, VOXX Band. We are.
It's VOXX with 2 X's.
Yes. VOXX. Yes. We're on Instagram, Twitter. Reverb Nation, Spotify, iTunes.
All at VOXX Band, or?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Gotcha.
VOXX Band. Pretty much, I think those are there's so many, man. Mm-hmm. Social media thing for you to follow everything and keeping everybody updated. But mainly, those are the ones that we're using. Mainly Facebook and Instagram and a little bit of Twitter. Nobody's using Twitter anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, not as much, but I mean, it's still there.
Our president is. So.
Well, yeah, yes, he is. He sure is. A lot of celebrities are using that as well. So it's just a sort of a place for celebrities to bitch and moan at one another, mainly. Yeah. But
that's what it is.
If you can use it, more power to you.
Right. So those are the social media that we are using right now, and soon we'll be posting some more shows. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, keep an eye out for VOXX and for New Divide and everything else we have. Regis, thank you so much for being on here, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. The honor is mine. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the invitation.
Thank you once again to my good friend Regis Lima of the band VOXX, and also my partner with New Divide, a tribute to Linkin Park. Really great guy. I'm glad I could finally have him on the show and just let him tell his story. I'm really proud of the work he's done with VOXX, and I'm really glad to be working with him on this Linkin Park tribute band. I think it's going to be really great, and I can't wait till we're finally able to go live with that. And still a little ways away, but it's definitely coming together, and I'm glad I could finally share it with all of you. Make sure you also check out his martial arts school in Newport Richey if you're in the area at facebook.com/RL Martial Arts. I'll be posting a link to that in the description, as well as a link to New Divide's Facebook page and all of VOXX's social media as well. As far as upcoming events, on Saturday, January 25th, 2020, I had mentioned this earlier in my last episode, but my first show with my new band, Mature Musical Pictures, will be at the Shovelhead Lounge in Longwood, Florida, just outside of Orlando. The headliners will be Tantric, Smile Empty Soul, Very Allura, and Spiral Crush. And as I mentioned, Mature Musical Pictures will be one of the openers, along with Orange Dawn and All Hail the Queen. Now, the next night, if you're in the Tampa area, those same four headliners, Tantric, Smile Empty Soul, Very Allura, and Spiral Crush, they will be at the Brass Mug in North Tampa. Make sure you check them out because Regis's band, VOXX, will be one of the openers, one of the local openers, I should say, along with the bands Against My Will and Jack Mantra. So really great weekend of live music. If you can catch one of the shows, no matter what area you're in, we would love to see you there. I do have a link to in order to buy tickets for the January 25th show, the one that I will be playing at. It's a link to Mature Musical Pictures' PayPal account. The tickets are about $23 a piece, so that way you can just send the money to us directly, and we'll get you the tickets. And make sure you leave my name in the note section, because that way I get a little bit of a higher cut of those ticket sales. So I'd really appreciate that. So thank you again for listening to the Phoenix Report. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at JackXConnor. Like me on Facebook at facebook.com/JackConnorMusic. Feel free to check out my two bands. First of all, Vertebreaker at facebook.com/VertebreakerBand and Mature Musical Pictures at MatureMusicalPictures.com. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, make sure you email me at jackconnorpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet me with the hashtag Phoenix Report. If you're listening to this on YouTube or iTunes, if I ever get this on iTunes, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, leave a comment, go back and listen to all the other episodes. Just before this one, I had a talk with Brian August, who's the lead singer of Mature Musical Pictures. So if you haven't listened to that yet, go listen to it, because that's a really good one as well. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, this has been the Phoenix Report. I'm Jack Connor. We'll see you later.